those of us who are graduates of Bob Michel University, I think we approach politics a little differently. Bob was a true giant and somebody who will be sorely missed throughout the world, very honestly. Bob came from humble roots in Peoria, and he rose to the heights of elected office as the minority leader in the U.S. House of Representatives. Not only is he the longest serving minority leader in the history of the U.S. Congress, he's the longest serving member in the history of the U.S. Congress to never serve in the majority. 38 years in the minority. So for those of us in the minority, we got a little hope here, I guess, maybe. But Bob had more to do with advancing the Reagan agenda and the George H.W. Bush agenda than probably any other member of Congress as a member of the minority. He worked with leaders on both sides. He and Speaker Tip O'Neill had a famous relationship where they'd argue furiously on the floor, and they'd end up in an office that evening having a drink together. Bob is somebody who I got to know very well. I never worked for Bob directly, but I had the great opportunity to know him through my work with Congressman Ray LaHood. And as Bob would call himself in the third person, old Mr. Michel is what he said when he talked about himself. When I was working for Congressman LaHood, Bob still had a key to the back door of the office, and he'd come wandering in the office every few weeks when he'd come back to Peoria, singing, regaling us with stories, and just being an all-around tremendous gentleman. He's a tremendous example for all of us. And for the way that we started our session here today, this is a good way to end it, a lesson for all of us here, to work in a bipartisan manner like Bob Michel. I'd like to share a few of the headlines that were written about Bob after he died last Friday. And if any of us could have one of these headlines written about us when we die, I think we'd all love it. Robert Michel dies at 93. House GOP leader prized conciliation. Illinois Republican leader skilled at compromise dies at 93. Robert Michel, champion of Washington civility and senior House post, dies at 93. And to Jahan's point, some people forget this. Bob Michel, conservative stalwart by the National Review. Ex-GOP leader Bob Michel, face of decency in public service, dies. Former House leader Bob Michel, a person and politician for the ages. There's very few people that have headlines written like that. Bob was a tremendous man who never forgot his Peoria roots. In the Peoria Journal-Star, there was an editorial last Saturday, and I'm sorry if I get a little misty on this one, but Bob meant a lot to me. The Journal-Star interviewed my former boss, Ray LaHood, who said Michel was always proud to say he was from Peoria, who recalled asking his old boss if he planned to be buried in Arlington Cemetery. No, Michel said, if Everett Dirksen wasn't too big to be laid to rest back home in Pekin, neither was he in Peoria. The 18th Congressional District, the fertile black soil of central Illinois, has produced from that congressional district people who've gone to Congress. Abraham Lincoln, Everett Dirksen, Bob Michel, Ray LaHood, they have all served out of that district. I don't know what it is about central Illinois, but it raises some very skilled politicians and people who know how to work in a bipartisan manner. So as Bob is laid to rest tomorrow in Peoria, I hope we would all reflect on our job here and try to do our jobs moving forward in the memory of Bob Michel and the way he approached business. Bipartisan, with a smile and song in his heart, trying to work together to get things done for the American people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative